Smashing Machine wants to be Raging Bull for the UFC, and while it doesn't quite reach those lofty ambitions, it's still an admirable effort. It follows the Scorsese model of biopics, presenting as more of a character study than a life story, and it flirts with the warts and all rawness of Raging Bull. But ultimately, Mark Kerr isn't as interesting a character as Jake LaMotta. Dwayne Johnson isn't as good an actor as Robert De Niro, and while Benny Safdie is comparable to Scorsese in terms of his cinematic artistry, the Smashing Machine doesn't draw the same sharp parallels as Raging Bull does between the opponents the guy's fighting inside the ring and the demons he's fighting outside the ring, or octagon. But having said all that, I quite enjoyed the Smashing Machine. It does recapture Raging Bull's mix of intense, sometimes shocking drama and subversive, understated comedic moments. And The Rock's popularity might have waned a bit, but he still has undeniable star power. It's not quite the Oscar-worthy performance it was hyped up to be, but it's a very promising start to a more serious acting career.
Think he'd want your autograph.
Sure, no problem. No fighting.
The big selling point of the Smashing Machine is that it's The Rock's first real attempt to do some proper acting and play an actual character who isn't just a variation on himself. But coming on the heels of the box office failure of Black Adam and Red 1, this sudden retreat into the art house world feels a bit cynical. It would have been more ingenuous if Johnson had made this push into real acting 10 years ago at the height of his movie stardom. Now it just seems like a desperate ploy to stay relevant. The Rock has become a brand at this point, and the Smashing Machine begs the question, does this brand have real acting chops? There's a meta element in the central conflict of this story with Johnson's casting. When we meet Mark Kerr, he's undefeated. When a journalist asks him what he'd do if he lost a fight, he says he can't even fathom loss as a possibility. But then, inevitably, he loses a fight. After that, he starts to unravel and lose everything else. It was a great setup for The Rock's first serious role. This is an action hero who famously has it written into his contracts that he can't lose a fight on screen. And the first role where he's allowing himself to be vulnerable sees him falling apart after losing his first fight. Naturally, Johnson is able to tap into a lot of these emotions. His pride taking a hit, his age taking a toll, coming to terms with no longer being the best. But how's the actual performance? Overall, I think it's the most interesting work of his career. There are flashes of greatness and genuine acting talent, but the performance is inconsistent as a whole. Sometimes he fully embodies this character, but sometimes it just feels like he's doing an impression. It reminded me of when Nathan Fielder took over that guy Corey Calderwood's life.
I just started learning to wire walk 6 months ago. It's totally new for me.
Well, have you ever heard of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the UFC?
People have been saying that what I'm doing is inspiring and heroic, you know?
Sometimes it's just The Rock in prosthetics. He goes to a lot of different emotional places, and it mostly rings true, but his limitations stand out whenever Mark cries. A few weeks ago, we saw John Cena genuinely burst into tears and go through an emotional breakdown in Peacemaker. But The Rock covers his entire face whenever he has to cry in the Smashing Machine, and when he uncovers his face, his eyes are bone dry.
What are you doing? Are you trying to cry?
I'm sad.
I think Emily Blunt is a wonderful actor, and she is a good crier. She can cry on cue in a way you fully believe. But I don't know if she's right for this part. There are very few cases where I think Emily Blunt has been miscast. She has impeccable range. But I just don't buy this posh English Rose as an MMA fighter's Kentucky Fried white trash bimbo girlfriend.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Angel, so how was your week?
I'm okay. I'm hanging in there.
So I hear you got some good news for us.
Well, Tommy's fighting tonight, so I've been better.
But I do think there's really great chemistry between her and The Rock. You really believe that they're this couple who love each other, but also kind of hate each other. They nail the fight scenes, from low-key, passive-aggressive sniping to furious screaming matches.
I just need you to let me in.
Always about you. Only about fucking you.
Let's fucking go.
I love Benny Safdie as a filmmaker. Uncut Gems and The Curse are two of my favorite things to come out in the past decade. Safdie tells his stories with an engaging sense of verisimilitude, using a verite, almost voyeuristic filming style. He writes very naturalistic dialogue and leaves his scenes with plenty of room to breathe, with lots of funny little human moments to break up the tension and immerse you in his characters' lives. There's a really funny run with Mark's sponsor Jeff. He'll call Jeff to confide in him while his girlfriend Dawn is yelling at him, and that just makes her angrier, and this hilarious little love triangle forms. It was interesting to see the early days of the UFC, the challenges in getting it started and legitimizing it, because I know next to nothing about MMA, but I didn't really care much about the fighting. That was all pretty typical sports movie stuff. I was much more invested in the relationship arc and the addiction storyline. The latter is inspiring to see. Johnson does a great job of capturing Mark's battle to remain sober, but the film skips the hardest part of his recovery. He goes through the gates to rehab, then we jump away to a subplot with his friend, then Mark comes back out of the rehab gate a changed man. That's the only major hiccup in Safdie's otherwise flawless editing of the film. There's a lot of soundbitey dialogue over-explaining the philosophy of MMA, but Safdie includes some really strong bits of visual storytelling too. There's a great scene at a demolition derby. Dawn is cheering for every crash, but Mark is deeply disturbed watching an old over-the-hill car get smashed to shit by everyone around it, essentially seeing himself in this broken, beaten-up car. But then he gets slightly hopeful watching the driver pick himself up and walk away from the wreck. That's one of those flashes of greatness I was talking about. The Rock tells us so much in this scene without saying a word. He probably won't win Best Actor at next year's Oscars, but it's an impressive first step outside his well-worn comfort zone.
Ready?
I think so.
You think so? Come on, Mark, it's a yes or no answer. Come on, are you ready?
Yes.
Marquito is back!
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked the video. Remember to like and subscribe and click on the little bell. And also seize the day and call your mom and be kind to yourself.